everyone, and welcome to this Han Solo cosplay tutorial. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 where I make the classic Han Solo blood striped pants yet, I would recommend doing that first. In this video, however, I will make Han Solo's DL-44 blaster. So for this part of the cosplay, I printed pieces in 3D because I'm very lucky to have a 3D printer in the house. I know most of you probably don't, but don't you worry, it's not necessary to make this piece. You can build it from foam, Worbla, resin, cardboard. Your imagination is the only limit. No matter what, I would recommend downloading the 3D file. That way you can see all the different pieces you need. You can rotate, zoom in and out, and it's just super handy. A link to the download is in the description below, so go check that out. It also exists in a toy version, so you only have to repaint the blaster. Okay, enough talk, let's go. 3D printing takes a lot of time, so I had to be patient. It's tempting to put the pieces together once out of the printer, but wait until you have all the pieces. Fitting tests are okay, but don't glue anything together just yet. The pile of pieces kept growing and growing, but I'm sure you can combine some of the pieces if you make this blaster from other materials. Time to even out the little bumps and lines on the plastic with some good old-fashioned sanding. It's boring and sometimes painful if you accidentally sand your hand, but it's worth it to get a clean finish down the line. Not all pieces have to be silky smooth. Like the interior pieces, for example, they won't even be visible, so you can save your time and focus on the big visible parts. Next up, I went over the pieces with some gesso a couple of times. I let it dry in between before I sanded it down one last time with a fine grit after the final layer. Now I put together all the pieces for a fitting test. I followed the steps in the assembly guide that came along with the 3D file. Also a good reason to download it. Follow all the steps. It's just like building an IKEA furniture. If something needs adjustments, now is the time to do that. When everything fitted perfectly, I whipped out the superglue and started assembling once again. This is the point of no return, so take your time. With everything glued together, it was time to do the base coat. I used black as the final color for my blaster. It is mostly black. I used my airbrush for the first time ever, and I started off with a silver coating for the whole blaster. A regular paintbrush or sponge is perfectly fine too. When that was dry, I went over with a layer of black. Some places the paint is supposed to come off a little bit, so I quickly scraped off the black before it was completely dry. That's why it's so important that the first layer of paint is completely dry. Otherwise you'll scrape off both layers. Last step I did was using the product called Rub and Buff. It is a wax with metal pigments, so it gives a more realistic finish than regular silver paint. I dabbed a small piece of it on an old cloth and rubbed it on all the all-metal pieces, which was the flash handle and the grip. Et voila! Here you see my finished DL-44 blaster for Han Solo. Pew pew! I hope you liked this video. For more, don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to support my work, you can always get me a cup of coffee. All links are in the description below. Bye bye!